Robert, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How was the mood in the camp been this week? That was a pretty big win, wasn't it, last week?
Yeah, look, I've said for a few weeks we've been building, obviously a bit of an hiccup really in Catalan's lads. The lads look really tired and we didn't perform very well, but we actually look. It wasn't the greatest of turnarounds to go to Catalan Saturday night and play Thursday night at Castleford because Castleford's always a tough place to go. But for us, we used it as a chance to get back on the horse really, and continue where we was before the Catalans game. And I thought the lads responded really, really well.
Yeah, and just in terms of like your squad coming out of that game, you didn't pick up any knocks, I don't think, on the night, did you? Unless some of it materialised afterwards.
Yeah, Wilson. To be fair, Wilson, he's had a problem with his pubis for the last couple of months. He had an injection. He missed the Catalan game, and he's sort of aggravated it again. He's probably not. The injection worked, but probably not as much as so. He's gonna have a little bit of a rest period where he actually gets on top of it. So yeah, Wilson's going to be out for for a short period of time anyway.
Yeah, that's something you got to manage, isn't it? I guess.
And look, that's one good thing about having. That's what your squad's for. We were down to the bare bones at the beginning of the year. We lost one player. It were horrific really because we had nobody else to come in. Whereas now we've got some bodies on board. One player leaves, another player's waiting in the wings, ready to step in. Got Matty English, Fenton Rogers, Sam Hewitt, all didn't play last week, so them three are available this week, and putting the best foot forward.
Is this the healthiest you've looked this season, would you say?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Like I said before, it's been really nice having to make some decisions regarding the team and actually leaving people out. I said previous that if you were fit, you were pretty much playing. If we lost an injury, we're looking at other teams, other squads, and trying to get people in on loan. And we're at a position now where if we do lose somebody's like I said, somebody's waiting ready to step into those shoes.
Yeah, and it's a good position to be in going to Wigan, which, despite the dip, and it's not uncommon, is it, for championship sides to have a mid-season dip, it is one of the toughest places, if not the toughest place to go on Friday.
It's never an easy place to go. And they did this last year, if you remember. Last year, I think they lost Field and French midway through the season. They had a bit of a slump. And then everyone knows what happened at the latter end of the year. So it's never an easy place to go, especially when Billy Boston's getting, I think they're celebrating him getting a night, becoming a knight. So there's going to be a little bit of a party atmosphere there, and we've got to make sure that we bring our A game.
Do you go there confident, given what you've put together aside from Catalan, which you mentioned just before?
Yeah, we do. We're in a position at the moment, and there's a feel. Well, the lads have been phenomenal throughout the year, even in defeats. But this last couple of months, I said after the Challenge Cup game that I think we'd find a little bit of rhythm and a bit of form, and it's come true. The boys are feeling good about themselves. We only played Wigan. It's crazy the schedule. Rugby league's nuts. The way that games you play some teams 3 times, some teams twice. You play some teams 3 times twice before you even play another team once. I can't make head or tail of it, and we only played Wigan 3 weeks ago, so it feels a little bit like your preparation. The lads know what they're going to be facing. We probably should have won that game. Anybody who watched that game, we probably should have won it. So I think Wigan are going to bring the best team. They're going to play really well, and we've got to make sure we're matching. But we're feeling confident.
Yeah, just touching on something you said then about obviously the Luke fixtures. It looks like we might be going to 14 teams. Would you be more in favour than what we've got at the moment? I know there's concerns around whether we've got the player pool to sustain it, but what you thought?
Oh look, I've got loads of friends. My wife's got loads of friends at Mancunians, and they don't actually watch rugby league. They're footballers, and when I explain to them that the league is determined on, at the end of the year, you play some teams 3 times and some teams twice. They can't fathom it. They can't get their head around it. They just think it's bonkers. And let's be honest, it is, isn't it? you can play certain teams more than other teams, and then you play certain teams, like I said before, twice within a 3 week period. It does not make sense. So if there's a bit of a fairer competition where you play teams twice in potentially a magic round, which I love magic, and I think it should stay in the calendar. I think it's great for rugby league as a spectacle and for the fans. To make it a more even competition and get the scheduling right, I think it's just common sense.
Yeah, just wanted to mention, go back to last week. Obviously, Danny Maguire's lost his job, hasn't he? On the back of that, do you have some sympathy for him?
Very much so. Look, he's obviously been a phenomenal player. He's a really good bloke, and I think he's only in the infancy of his coaching career, and I think we're very quick within sport. Look, it's professional sport, and results obviously play a part. But sometimes it can happen very, very fast. And I feel I feel for Danny. I feel like it's not nice when somebody that you admire and somebody that you're friends with loses the job. So yeah, it's not a nice thing.
Were you surprised? Because once you're in a similar situation, right? Once a club goes down that path of appointing an inexperienced coach, you think they'd get time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, look.
I hope so.
At some point, you've got to give somebody a chance, and I remember a lot of people were raising an eyebrow when Matty Peake got the job at Wigan, and people were raising an eyebrow, and I think, look at obviously what a fantastic coach he's proven to be, but at some point you've got to give somebody an opportunity, somebody who's English, somebody who's young, and we don't seem to do that, especially in our sport very often, especially when you're young and English. So yeah, look, but you've sometimes got to persevere and have a long-term plan rather than just a short-term plan.
Is it a reminder, not that you probably needed it, that it is a volatile industry and you maybe only one poor performance away, aren't you?
Oh, look, I think it might be John Key or somebody else said it. You're pretty much you're 3 weeks away from getting a new contract and 3 weeks away from getting the sack. That is literally how fickle sport is, and I've been involved in it for a very long time now, so I know how professional sport works.
Do you feel like you've got a strong support network around you there, and you're quite secure, or as secure as you could be in your role over there?
Oh, you're never secure. Obviously, you're never secure, but I think the Davy family, the Huddersfield Giants as a club, have shown that they've got really good foundations at this club. They've got a lot of really strong, sort of admirable people behind the scenes. So look, I'm not shy in the fact that look, if when inevitably results don't go your way, there's always a chance. But yeah, look, I'm a really good club with a long-term vision.
Yeah, and just finally, I think this is the end of your road trip, isn't it? This week you've had a few weeks on the road. Would it be good to finish on a positive note, because it has been a positive run, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, it's been a real positive run, and we've got Wakey and Hull after this, and I think it's the international was an international break. There's a week off so it'd be nice to finish with a bit of a flourish in these next few games before that break.
Nice one. That's all from me. Thank you, Rob. All the best on Friday.
Cheers, mate.
Yes.
Rob, I won't keep you long. I think James has covered it most. Just wanted to ask you about quotas. We know now they're going from 7 to 10. First of all, just your thoughts on that. Are you for it? Are you against it?
All depends on how many teams are coming up. I think that.
So just expanding on that, why does that differ in your opinion?
You've literally got to find 60 players. Now, don't get me wrong, there's players in the Championship that can step up, obviously, but it's not an easy task to get 60 players within 3-4 months. That's another thing that obviously it's crazy that we don't actually know what the league structure is going to be, and we're only a few months away from pre-season, really. You're 3 or 4 months away and you're starting pre-season. So, recruitment's continually going on. Whoever does, if they do come up, obviously you've got to make signings pretty quick, but obviously having 10 quota spots alleviates some of that pressure, because look, there's players in the Championship that are probably good enough to play Super League, but they don't want to. Some of them, I know players in the past that have been at clubs where they've got a really, really steady job, a well-paid job, and it suits them to play part-time, so actually they don't want to become, and without being disrespectful to rugby league, you're not on, some players aren't on fortunes. You know, they might be getting offered less money to be a Super League player than they are to be a teacher, and obviously top up the wage of championship players. So to find 60 players isn't an easy task. I think if we are going to introduce 2 new teams, bringing, opening the quota spot will obviously help that. There is obviously an argument for if the more Australians, Antipodeans that we bring over here, the less opportunities it creates for English players. But on the flip side of that, it might bring the competition up, and you've got to play better, and you've got to become a better player to get in the squad. So, there's 2 sides to the argument.
And from Huddersfield's perspective, if it does, how does it alter your recruitment plans for next year? Because suddenly, if you've got the cap space, you can look further afield for more players now if you're in the market.
Yeah, cap space is a big one. It's all about cap space, and that's probably the biggest issue, not only at our club but for every club really. It's what you've got available and what funds you've got available. It obviously does open up. All of a sudden your net that you're casting all of a sudden becomes a little bit bigger, and you can actually, rather than just pinpointing a few players, if for example if there's no English back rowers, for example, currently in the market, then you can actually go and explore not only the NRL but the Queensland Cup, New South Wales comps, where there might be some young Australians wanting to actually improve and actually become a better player over here before they go back to the NRL.
Where are you at in terms of recruitment for next year? Are you done? Have you got loads to do?
No, we're not done. We've got a little bit of space, but we haven't got loads of room to manoeuvre, but there is a little bit of space. So we are still looking, and we're still exploring some possibilities.
Where are you looking? Because I look at your squad, and you've got a fair amount of depth in most positions. I'm just assuming you just want to try and build up the quality in certain areas.
Yeah, from our squad perspective, we're exploring different possibilities. We want to basically create a stronger squad. As probably this year's the way that it's planned out or the way that it's played out shows that you need a good squad. And the ones that generally come to the fore, although let's not beat around the bush. OKR and Wigan have massive squads, and they have a really good quality throughout them squads. And when they go through a bit of a dip and they do have injuries that they can call upon, numbers 20, 21, 22, 23. So yeah, it's nothing specific position wise. We're just trying to create a bigger depth in what we've got.
Just lastly from me, how's Niall getting on?
He's getting on really good. He came in, he's pretty much started training with the squad for the first time this week, and he looks great. He looks great in training. He's obviously not ready to play a game. We need to build his load and tolerance up. He's had a very, very long time out, so we don't want to rush him back and get injured straight away. George is doing a really good job at the moment. I said before that there's loads of improvements in his game, but the way that he's progressing, he's going really well. So it isn't like we need to rush Niall back into it straight away. But he looks really good in training, really good.